Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. It is Thursday, and I'm really excited for today. We've got some great content coming up for you. So now I am about to look at how Cardiff City can correct the mistakes from the first Bradford game. So I've rewatched the game, I've looked at the stats, and we're going to have a real dig into what Cardiff did wrong and what Cardiff did right in those games and how they can adjust it, address it. And then tonight, me and Jamie are back and we're going to talk about Cardiff City's away form on the live show tonight. So that's going to be interesting. But let's get into it. Because if Cardiff City is serious about learning and improving and pushing forward this season, games like this have got to be looked at properly. And I think earlier in this campaign, Bradford City came to the Cardiff City Stadium, they beat Cardiff 3-1. And here's the uncomfortable truth. It wasn't a smash and grab. It wasn't Bradford stealing something like Burton did. And it definitely wasn't just one mistake. This was a game that was decided by details, by game state and moments of transition and how it was managed. So today we're going to break it all down. We're going to look at how Bradford won, what Cardiff got wrong, why the scoreline ran away the way it did, and crucially, how Cardiff can correct this away from home. But let's do it properly. So first we look at the context. The game state. Bradford didn't arrive in Cardiff trying to dominate possession or the ball. They came with a clear plan. Stay compact, absorb the pressure at moments, and when they had the opportunity, really attack with pace, punish mistakes. And Cardiff, meanwhile, as always, would look to hold possession, have that territorial control, and hopefully have enough quality to hurt Bradford. But football isn't won on possession charts. It's won on who scores first, who manages the momentum of the game, and who survives the key moments. And from the opening exchanges, Bradford looked dangerous, but they also looked prepared for exactly the type of game that it became. In the opening early phases, there was definitely some early warning signals for Cardiff. The first 15 minutes, they matter more than people think, right? We know this is how you start a game often has an impact on the rest of the game and attitudes and mentality and certainly the atmosphere in the ground and things like that. Bradford weren't passive. They were aggressive in the way they pressed, but they were still selective. They weren't super high, but they did it very intelligently. They waited for slow circulation. They waited for sideways passes, heavy touches. And every time they had that, they won the ball and the intention was obvious. Get it forward quickly. Use the channels, force defensive decision. But what they did really well is their striker would drop in, they would play it to his feet, and he would play it around the corner off one touch, and the wingers would be in behind, and Cardiff had turned and faced their goal. They did that from quite early in the game, and it was very, very important because it meant that Cardiff never had control of the game. Bradford didn't need control because they just needed opportunities and they were going to be clinical. And once you force Cardiff into mistakes and you force Cardiff to make decisions that they don't really want to make, it becomes a very difficult, chaotic game like we saw with Leyton Orient recently. Now, the first goal, it is partially about a brilliant finish, excellent finish, but to sound like a broken record, it is about Cardiff City's organisation. They do not deal with, they don't get out to the shooter quick enough, they're not aware to the danger again from a set piece. How many times have we been done by almost that exact routine? Everyone goes in a box, lines up like it's going to go, be launched in, and then it's pulled back to the edge of the box, bang, goal. Now, yes, it's a great finish, but the players are too deep, defensive players. Nobody gets out really aggressively to the edge of the box to put him under pressure or to stop the shot. And organisation and responsibility was probably lacking in that moment. But, and it's a great finish from Tommy Lee, I gotta say. He strikes, it's a great goal. But suddenly Cardiff are chasing the game. And this is definitely a concentration goal. It's definitely one that was kind of coming a little bit, but Bradford looked pretty dangerous. But it comes from switching off. Now, that's something that you can deal with. That's something you can change. That's something that you can affect going forward. But unfortunately, We have been caught by the same routine since then, and we've been caught off set pieces since then. Last game, Leyton Orient, we looked a little bit better from set pieces, I will say that. And then you look at Cardiff's response. We had chances, probably without the control of the game we'd like. And Cardiff didn't fold in this game at any point. We created clear-cut chances. We had, and what we did do in this game, incidentally, which is something that the team has been probably criticised for quite a lot over the season, is we got Joel Bagan, we got Keane Ashford into good positions in the wide areas, rolling Capaccio, and we put early crosses into the box. Keane Ashford was attacking crosses. Turnbull has a shot blocked or shot wide. Salic has a couple of headers. We created chances, but here's the issue: the chances didn't really come from sustained pressure. They came from patterns and moments, but they were quite sparing. However, we created clear-cut chances even in the first half. Now, we did feel a bit rushed and a bit frantic. And frantic football was probably what Bradford needed to implement their game plan. They were certainly comfortable with it. And then the second goal comes, it's a penalty. And I actually felt for Gabe Osho in this instance. At 1-0, Cardiff are still in the game. They're still controlling the game somewhat emotionally. But at 2-0, it becomes an uphill battle. Bradford get into the box down the right. Gabe Osho is behind. He's catching up with the attacking player. And he thinks he's going to slide it across goal for a tap-in. So he fully commits, slides in to block the cross. The player's clever, just does a little Cruyff turn, takes the impact. It's a clear penalty. I don't blame Osho for the tackle because he had to throw his body at it. If he just allows the player to cross it across and it's a tap-in, he gets criticism. He tries his best to stop the cross. The player's very clever. Now, you can ask a question about positionally, should he have been in a better position to deal with that initially? Yeah, sure, I can think that's fine, but it isn't about blame. I don't think it's about awareness. At 1-0 down, you stay on your feet, you trust the shape, don't commit unless you're certain. But it's a good penalty. Bradford now have that two goal cushion. They have all the confidence in the world, and the game state now is perfectly suited, not just for them, but for the away team, because Cardiff are really, really chasing. And then we have a big moment, a what-if moment, right before half-time. Keane Ashford finds himself some space in the box. It's a golden chance. If it goes in, it's 2-1. Momentum shifts, the crowd lifts, we go in at half-time really buzzing. It doesn't. And instead, Cardiff go in 2-0, and there's definitely a psychology to that, where it felt down, it felt low. Because Bradford could go in at half-time, they could reset, they could have a chat, they could look at what's been good, bad, etc. Cardiff are chasing the game. Second half then, you have the killer transition. 4 minutes into the second half, bang. Cardiff push forward, lose possession, structure isn't set, Bradford break quickly, 2 passes across goal, and Neuville finishes well as the Cardiff players are trying to get back. We got caught, and we left a lot of space down the side initially, and then a lot of space on the other side for the Neuville to score. And it exposed what at that moment in the season we had a really weak resting defence. So when we've got the ball, we had far too many players committed and too big of spaces between the ones who weren't, which meant teams were just creating chance after chance, and that's when we were conceding 15 shots a game. That is much, much better now, and nowhere near where it was at that point. We were a bit slow getting back, whether they didn't realise the danger initially when it went down the left, and then there's just too much space, as I mentioned. It's a textbook transition goal on the break, and it kills any chance of a realistic comeback, although, because it was right after half-time, there was still time if we take our chances in the second half. And the late pressure and the what might have been, and you got to be fair, Cardiff never stopped. They never gave up on this game. They pushed, they probed, they pulled, they created chances. We had the woodwork twice in this game. Salic hits the bar in the second half. Robinson forced multiple saves. Ruben had a couple of shots saved. Robinson eventually pulls one back from a set piece after it bounces around in the box a bit. But the truth is simple. Those chances in particular came after the damage was already done. 3-0 down. Bradford with nice, comfortable defending a bit deeper, protecting the central areas and trying to make Cardiff have low risk possession. Cardiff were climbing a very steep hill at the very least. But I wanted to look at the stats a bit and the XG story of this game. Was this game actually a 3-1, a 3-0 game? It wasn't. And when you look at the stats, Cardiff's XG, so expected goals, if Cardiff take their chances, they should have got at least 2 goals. Bradford, on the other hand, should have got just over 2 goals. So, Bradford finishing was as it should be. Cardiff's wasn't. But when you look at those expected goals, it was incredibly tight. It was not a 3-1 game. Cardiff had the opportunities to get something from this game. And actually watching it back, just away from the stats for a second, when I watched it back, I really felt like if we'd taken our chances, it could have been a 4-3 victory, much like Leyton Orient and the other one. But look, it's huge that it was so close. It tells us that Bradford didn't dominate us. It wasn't a one-sided thrashing. There wasn't a golf in quality or anything like that. This was 2 evenly matched sides creating a similar number of clear-cut quality chances. But context matters. Bradford's XG also comes from a penalty, a set-piece phase, and a fast break. They're high-quality chances, high-leverage chances. Cardiff's SG was much more spread out. It was headers, second balls, late pressure when the game was falling away from them. So the same totals, but very different moments. And it wasn't necessarily about quality, it was about the control of those moments. Bradford took their opportunities. Now, that and those stats are actually really encouraging for Cardiff, because it shows that if Cardiff could have finished their chances and been a bit ruthless, they were well in this game. Now for the important bit. Correcting the mistakes. How can Cardiff City win at Bradford this weekend? So let's talk about the solutions, because analysis without answers is just noise. If Cardiff want to go to Bradford and take 3 points, here's what I think they have to do. Number 1, fix the rest defence. Well, on that one, I would say they have already, but I want to go into it a little bit more just because away from home we haven't been as dominant and as good away as we have at home. Look, if one fullback goes, the other stays. At least 2 defenders plus a screener stay connected so the spaces aren't too big. If they counter-attack, don't dive in, delay it so the players can get back into position and you're not conceding 15 shots in a game. Take away Bradford's transition space and you take away what is probably their biggest threat, which is the counter-attack. And then secondly, you've got defend set pieces, but also defend them in phases. Yes, they have to be switched on, they have to concentrate, they have to know their jobs and they have to do it well. They have to attack the ball, etc. But they also have to be aware of routines, short corners, pulling it back to the edge of the box. The first goal cannot happen again. Cardiff must assign edge of the box responsibility to someone. They have to step out aggressively once they get that clearing header. They have to treat corners as multi-phase actions and threats. Kill the momentum early, make set pieces less of a threat to your team, and you'll concede much less goals. And I think recently we've seen our rest defence has been way, way better, so we've been conceding less goals, but we're still conceding those set piece goals. Bradford are very comfortable defending a lead. So thirdly, we have to control the game state. So Cardiff must stay patient, avoid reckless box challenges, avoid silly free kicks. It was something that the manager talked about this game. It was difficult for us to get momentum in this game because we kept giving away silly free kicks. We have to understand that a 0-0, 1-0, that's going to suit them. If we can switch that the other way and 1-0 to us, it suits us. And I've said many times we're a very, very difficult side to play when we're 1-0 up, especially away from home. That first goal is really important. Number 4, improve the chance timing, not just the volume. And I think Cardiff don't need just shots from anywhere. We need quick circulation on the ball. We need sharp movement in between the centre-backs and the full-backs. We need fewer hopeful crosses and real good quality crosses into the box, which is what Yusuf Salic thrives on. Score first, and I really believe Bradford could have to open up, and that could play into our hands tactically. Fifth, play in controlled spells. It's away from home. It's not about dominating for 90 minutes. 10 to 15 minute pressure windows, composure, solidarity, being aggressive in the right moments, but being ruthless in the right moments. Bradford thrive on a bit of chaos. They like a counter-attack. They've got some real quality attackers and players in the attacking third. So we have to deny them. We have to starve them of the ball, starve them of the ball in behind those fullbacks. You do that by a good rest defence, by the defence being switched on, ready, composed, aggressive at the right times. So that's the truth of it. Bradford didn't beat Cardiff City because they were way better. They didn't thrash us. They beat us because they were smarter and they were more clinical in the moment. Now, you fix those moments and there's every chance that Cardiff can go to Bradford and get a positive result. Now, don't forget, when we get to Friday, we'll have the general preview. We have the tactical showdown where we pit the managers against each other, and we'll have 3 big questions as we build up to the game. It's a massive game for Cardiff. Our away form has been spotty, but we haven't lost a lot of games, even away from home. I really believe that we can kick on off the back of this result. I actually really believe that we can go and beat Bradford, not just get a draw, if we get the moments right, if we're aggressive at the right time, and if the players are switched on from a focus point of view. But let me know what you think. It was really interesting going back and watching that game, because obviously watching it in the ground, it felt like Bradford gave us a bit of a spanking, but actually when you watch it back, it was a pretty even game. They just took their chances and we didn't. But there we go. I'm really interested. They've signed some good players over the last week, so Cardiff will have to be at it, that's for sure. Let me know in the comments what you think. Keep the faith, my friends, and I'll see you tonight with Jamie for a bit of talk on our away form. Thank you so much. Take it easy. See you in a bit. This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the Spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.